You're watching Sure Meet Teen. We are taking a look at the Alcatel Pixi 3. Before we get started, we want to make it clear that there is a wide number of versions of this product, which all vary in specs and screen size. It can be confusing which one you are looking at in stores. To tell which screen version it is, there should be an extra number at the end in the brackets like this. We have and are reviewing the 4-inch version, but as shown here on their website, there is 6 single SIM versions and 6 dual SIM versions of the 4-inch design, which have different camera specs and features. To make it easier to follow, we will list all the 4-inch models during the specifications section of the review, which you can skip to using the time links in the description. The rest of the review is going to be based on the version we have. We are reviewing the Alcatel Pixi 3 model 4013X, which is running Android 4.4. The same specs also applies to the dual SIM version 4013D. On the front we have here the in-call speaker to hear the person on the line. Next to it is the front camera, below that is the back key, the home key and the menu key. On the right of the device is the power key and volume up and down. Underneath is the slot for a micro USB connector. Then looking on the top is a 3.5mm headphone slot. There is nothing on the left, so lastly at the back is the main camera with a light underneath. The backing can be taken off, and underneath this is where you can remove or add the battery and place your micro SD card and SIM card. We are now going to list all the versions of the 4-inch and go over the common variations in specs. Other things like operating system, dual network, tethering, HSPA can be found at the Alcatel website, which we have the link to in the description. There is 12 versions of the 4-inch models and they all start with this code, 40. There is 6 single SIM versions that end with 13X, which is the one we have, then 13M, 03A, 14X, 50X and 50A. The 6 dual SIM versions are 13D, 13E, 13K, 13J, 50D and 50J. All versions have a G sensor, GPS, Bluetooth 4, micro USB 2, Wi-Fi and FM radio. There is advertised a total of 4GB internal storage with up to 32GB external storage through the use of a micro SD card. The amount of storage left to the user is around 1.8GB for all the models apart from the 4 ending in 50, which have around 2GB to the user. The 4 ending with the code 50 have a quad-core 1.1GHz processor, and the rest of the models have a dual-core 1GHz CPU, and all are listed to have 512MB DDR3 RAM. The main camera on the back is 2MP for all the 50 versions, 3MP for the 13X and 13D, 5MP for the 003A, 13J and 4X. Then lastly, there is an 8MP camera for the 13M, 13K and 13E. From powering up the device, it takes under a minute to load up and then you are at the main screen. The screen is not always responsive. When trying to swipe left and right, it seems to struggle at times, which does have an effect on browsing and social media, which I will talk more about later on. Staying on the topic of performance, the games that I tested were Subway Surf, Geometry Dash Lite and Angry Birds Go. The games all had noticeable lag, especially Angry Birds Go. The response seemed okay with the screen for these games, apart from when quickly tapping in Geometric Dash over platforms was not always working, and in Subway Surf, some of the quicker swipes that are needed did not work at times either. Next is the benchmark test using the app 3D Mark. It got a score of 994, graphics score of 883, graphics test 1 was 4.7 frames per second, graphics test 2 was 3 frames per second, and physics test was 9.8 frames per second. The battery can get you through a day if you are more of a casual user and have brightness settings set to midway or lower. When I used more entertainment programs and 15 to 20 minutes of watching via Wi-Fi, the battery dropped from 94% to around 79%. The days where I just used the phone as more of a music player with casual moments of social media, this drained at a much slower pace. In terms of high-end entertainment, the battery is below average. Switching on the camera, we now see this screen. This is how you switch to and from video mode. Next, from the top left corner, this is to set flash on, off or to auto. In video mode it keeps the torch light on at all times. Over to the right is the list of settings. We have HDR, panorama, night mode, QR scan, filter, then below is face detection, shutter sound, GPS location information. Going into advanced settings we have full screen, anti-banding, picture size, timer, ISO and exposure settings. Switching to video mode, the following settings are video quality and sound recording. Then lastly, this is to switch from front and back facing modes. If we take a look at some of the pictures taken, this is the model with a 3 megapixel camera, and most of the images I took under perform. It is extremely sensitive to the slightest bit of movement. The two images that were not as blurry was when I had to make sure I was standing completely still, which even then there were still focusing issues. The same happens when taking videos. This is the video quality of the Alcatel Pixi 3 4-inch model version 4013X. Unfortunately, I did not get off to a great start with this phone. I had no idea at first there was this many versions. I knew there was different screen size versions that has the number in brackets, but I assumed the Pixi 3 4 has a 2 megapixel camera like it said in the description on the store I ordered it from. This was the box it came in, and I thought this does not have the 4 next to it in brackets. Looking over on the side it says 4-inch. On the other side of the box it says 3 megapixel here, and this is the model version 4013X. I went online again looking at other stores selling the same phone, and they had it down as a 5 megapixel camera and another 8. It did take me a moment to work all this out and think how I was going to review this. For all I know, they could have given me the wrong box, since it is very easy to get it confused to the one listed online. Going back to what I mentioned briefly about the touch response to the screen, this for me was rather frustrating, and I can demonstrate where it is most noticeable. Swiping down with my thumb on things like Instagram, it responds better if you do it like this, but then it will mistake your swipe as pressing the pictures. I found myself pressing back a lot after it kept loading up full-size images that I was trying to scroll past. The same sort of thing happens when using the on-screen keypad. I pressed a lot of the wrong keys when creating emails or texts. The suggestion above will help out with this, but searching on Google you don't get as much help, and it just never seems to be getting it right for me. Which is disappointing, since I have had an Alcatel One Touch phone before, which was from the S Pop series. That one was the same price range this phone launched at, but ran much better than this newer phone. I would say, based on my experience with this, you are getting what you pay for with this being a budget device. You are not going to come across some of those issues if you only do more traditional things like answer calls, reply to text messages, use the calculator calendar, and then play games like Candy Crush, listen to the FM radio and music player. The phone is good for those things, but social media apps and the camera don't perform very well. This phone is more for someone looking for an emergency backup, second phone for business calls, emails, and not wanting to spend too much on it. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions, let us know in the comments.